In 2003, one of the most notorious terror attacks took place in Tel Aviv. 3 people were killed and 50 more injured in a bombing of a well-known blues bar called Mike's Place. Filmmakers Josh Faudem and Jack Baxter documented the chilling details of the terror attack in the film Blues by the Beach. And now, 20 years later, the film is being screened in honor of Yom HaZikaron. We're now joined by director Josh Faudem and Gal Ganzman, the owner of Mike's Place, who was present during the attack. Thank you both for coming in. And I know this isn't easy to be here talking about this as we are, we are honoring those that have fallen. We have Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut. But what's it like for you guys to think back 20 years, and it has been 20 years since something so tragic happened? Does it still feel like, when you think about it, that it was yesterday, or does it seem like a long time ago?
In some aspects it feels like yesterday, in some aspects it feels like a long time ago, but I guess it still comes up every day, and and at some point when you close your eyes, you still see, or I still see, images of the day. So it kind of follows me around. But
Wow. So take us back to the relationship you had and how it all ended up being that you were there and that you were working there and you were working on another project at Mike's Place and you happened to be there when the suicide bomber came.
Well, first of all, Gal and I know Gal since I'm 12, so Gal was like 14. We knew each other from Jerusalem. So Gal had hired me to be a bartender when I came back to Israel after I was abroad for a few years living in Prague. I started to work there, and then we decided that I would film about the bar. We had a customer walked in named Jack Baxter, who kind of just changed the course of everything, and he wanted to make a documentary. I had the camera equipment, and Gal gave me a week, 10 days off to work with Jack. Jack gave me $1,000. He's like, film for me, let's do something about the bar, let's show another side of Israel, and the rest is kind of,
is history.
Yeah.
So what was the experience like, not only being there filming it and, being victims of this attack as well, putting this film together?
It was terrible.
Like, how do you work on something that is so terrible that you're having to look at the same shots in slow motion and everything? That process.
It was terrible.
It's usually fun for filmmakers, but not when it's something like this.
Well, the editing room is always challenging, as I'm sure you know. But this was editing this film. It took 2 years, and it was tough. It was really tough because everybody had moved on, except for me and Jack.
Right. And for you, how is this? I mean, you still own Mike's Place, and it's still very popular hangout, mainly known for Anglos that come here. It's a nice bit of home, listen to good music and all of that. But was it hard to continue? Is it hard to go back there still every day?
No, I think it was kind of like getting back on the horse immediately after we reopened the bar 7 days after the bombing. The bombing was on Motzei Yom HaShoah, of the exit of the Holocaust Day. And we kind of saw it as some kind of importance to reopen the bar for Independence Day. So it was basically a week after Independence Day. We reopened with a huge ceremony, and after that, we just opened the bar and
had a huge party.
And had a huge party and got back on the horse. And we've been on the horse ever since.
Yeah, and explain really, about the bar and why it is such a, you're still at least able to kind of, continue kind of the theme of what you opened it for. Like, it is supposed to be a place where you're getting everybody together in one place, chilling out, having casual conversation, a view of the sunset. I mean, are you finding that the continuation of Mike's Place is still drawing the same type of crowd and the same type of vibe?
Absolutely. Well, I think Mike's Place started kind of as Mike's living room, and being a living room, it really developed into this family. And I think till today, we really make a point of being a family with staff and the regulars, and generations already of old staff and old regulars, and it's a big happy family, sometimes a little bit dysfunctional.
Well, what family is it?
But it's a big family that's stuck together for many years through many things, including the bombing 20 years ago. Already there, we were a family, and right after the bombing, we behaved as a family and all huddled up together and spend every minute together.
And we document that in the film. It's part. It's definitely part of exactly what he's talking about. Is captured. I mean, you get the feel.
Explain some of the highlights of the scenes, because even though it was 20 years ago and it's being rescreened, it is still very, when you look at it, it's still, you get the sense of it's something current, especially because, we've seen recent terror attacks just in the past year. So what was that process like, and what are some of the highlights for viewers that want to see the film?
Well, it's cinema verite. It's like you set out to do something. You're filming. We thought we were filming just research material for Jack to go back to New York, and it ended up being a film. So editing that is a challenge, and when you're completely not in control of your fate and your destiny and your filmmaking, and it's all thrown in one basket, and it shakes you up and it throws you out, and you just have to kind of, and it. Like, for example, like I remember getting into the editing room and my editor is like, Joshua, all the footage post-bombing, all the sound is distorted. Because I couldn't hear anything for like months. So, and I was looking at the sound bars, but apparently, so there was all these little challenges and hurdles, and there's many strong scenes in the film of just, people being themselves, breaking down. Knowing that it's me holding the camera, so they did feel comfortable because they knew, we all knew each other, so it wasn't like a foreign object or anything like that. But it's just a unique film because it's just very raw and very rough, and I don't mean graphically. It's raw, and it's real.
Well, and there is no way to sugarcoat a film like this.
There's no way to sugarcoat.
You can't make it pretty, and if the sound's distorted, people aren't going to believe it if it's like perfectly edited sound also. So that's part of the chilling nature of something.
It was really true. It was really documenting really what happened, and the cameras were really with us all the time, and we knew the cameras were there, and I like to think that it kind of brought the best out of us, especially in that challenging time.
There's a very, very strong scene. If I can think of one scene, it's when Gal, it's a day or two after the bombing, and we're all sitting in Gal's apartment, all the staff, the bartenders, the waitresses, everybody, and Gal says to everybody, we need to reopen the bar. Do we reopen it next week, or do we wait a month? And there's a whole discussion of people saying, I can't go back there. I want to go. Like, it's all
emotionally connected.
All the emotions, right. And I remember standing there on the side and just understanding that how this scene is gonna be not edited.
It's all real. It's not something you can control or set up or plan.
I had color problems there. I had sound problems there, but it all. And I must say that the editor of the film, a good friend of mine named Matos Otrota, who's Czech, edited the film. He's not Israeli, and he really managed to be that outsider.
That's not able to be as emotionally connected to, they able to have some perspective.
Correct.
Now, also, you're going to be screening the film at the Cinematheque, so people could have a chance to see it, and there's going to be a memorial service before as well. Tell us about that.
There's going to be on April 28th at the Cinematheque in Tel Aviv at 3 p.m. We're going to have a memorial service at the Cinematheque. After the memorial service, we're going to have a screening. And then after the screening, we'll have a short Q&A. And then we're all going to the bar to have a party.
Wow. So what is the...
And that's this Friday, April 28th.
April 28th. And also you made a graphic novel, which was healing for you. You found that to be more healing than... I mean, if
the editing
if
of
it's
the film
possible
was not,
to heal from
the graphic novel came out like 12 years after the bombing in 2015. It was published by Macmillan. And it was a very rare opportunity for Jack and I to write the narrative of the story, how it really happened, because the film is just like, it's guerrilla, hit the ground running, and we actually managed to do something different with the book. It's the same story, but we're telling the story of the bombing at the bar through 3 love stories that are happening at the bar at the same time, and they're all true. In the film, I only managed to capture one of those love stories, but there were 2 other ones going on at the same time, and the book kind of gives that artistic reflection to the story. Right. And for me, it was much more healing than editing the film, because editing the film was everything but healing.
Right.
Writing the book, the graphic novel, was very, very,
and
very.
it's like a way of giving kind of some order to something that doesn't have any order. Last question before we wrap up. You know, as we, you know, obviously we're experiencing a very challenging few years, not just this year, but listen, we are having random acts of terror and happening in Tel Aviv. What is the takeaway message of the tenacity and the ability of the people here of really being able to move forward after these tragic things happen? Like, what is if there is a positive takeaway of the tenaciousness of the Israeli people?
Well, I think that it's really, like I think you really said, it's the tenaciousness of the Israeli people. It's the understanding that this is our home and we have no other home, and with the good and the bad, we have to deal with it and continue and try and make it a better place for all of us, even though we go through all these hard piguim and bombings
and PTSD and all these other things that, you know, that's another conversation, but that's another topic that is not addressed too often. But, you know, the repercussions of it, and even those that were injured, that are still injured for life, you're still in touch with them.
Yeah, of course, with a big part of them, yes, we're in touch, and we see them every year. We have a memorial every year. This is the 20th, so it's kind of like a big deal. But every year we do a memorial, and a lot of the injured and the families of the people that were murdered come to the memorial and kind of have a chance to reflect once a year.
Wow. Thank you both so much, Joshua and Gal. Thank you so much for sharing this story and giving viewers an opportunity to see this film again.
Thanks.
Thank you.